All right, hello people watching this video. On yesterday, we made a box and whisker plot for the Verizon Airport data speeds, and it has to do with the 5-number summary, which are these guys. So the minimum, the maximum, we draw a number line. We found that this is right skewed. On the backside, I put my box and whisker plot up there. It should have gone down in example 7, whatever. We found that it is right skewed. Here, on example 8, which is the back page, they are asking us to look at, I'm going to give you the box and whisker plots-ish, of these 4 so that we can compare them. That's one of the reasons why we do box and whisker plots, is so that we can make comparisons and talk about skewness and stuff. So Verizon went from 0. Do you guys see this number line down here at the bottom?
Yeah.
Went from like 0.7 or 0.8 or something to like 77.8. Okay, there was my whiskers and something about 10 to 20-ish. So about here to here, and there's my box. So recreate that, something of that nature. That's what Verizon looks like. Okay, I'm gonna graph for you the other ones. Do the best you can. Sprint starts basically at 0 as well, but he only goes up to about 35-ish, so about there. Okay, and his little box starts like on the edge here. Woo! Look at Sprint. Yeah. AT&T also starts, he starts a little bit higher, maybe at like 4 or something. Oh, let me go down.
Where are you seeing that?
I'm getting this from the book. I'm making this up from the book. This is what the book has. Okay, so I'm getting these numbers from the book. AT&T goes up to right about a little less than 40, so a little bit higher than Sprint, right at the edge of the AT&T. And his box is like here-ish. I don't know, something like this. Okay, there's AT&T. And then the last one is T-Mobile. Okay, so just kind of recreate these as best you can. T-Mobile goes from about 0-ish to about a little less than 30, so like here maybe. And box starts there, goes to almost 20. And this is T-Mobile. Okay, so let's form some conclusions here. Who is the best, according to this?
Verizon.
Technically, Verizon is the best. Yes, because this box is the most, like, shifted to the right, for Verizon data speeds. Which one is the worst?
Sprint.
I would say either Sprint or almost T-Mobile. T-Mobile has everybody in this tight little range, so, like, none of the customers are going to get more than 30 speed for T-Mobile. So I would maybe say Sprint. Between Sprint and T-Mobile, they both suck, right? Like, they're both really bad, okay? They are both right skewed, right? Which means, like, yeah, we have these big long tails out here, but these are all going to be my outlier people. Those are the people who are just lucky dogs that are in, like, full sun, full signal. Like, these are the people who are just lucking out. The majority of the people are in this range, right? Like, the majority of the time, that's what's happening. Like, if you look at this, okay, 3/4 of my people live from here and back, right? Like 3/4 of all my people. Okay, and if I think about it that way, I would say Sprint probably is the worst, right? Because if 3/4 of your people are living between like a 0 and a less than 10, they suck. Like, that's bad, right? So 3/4 of all my data are living there. Only 25% of all my people are living in these tails, right? Okay, and so they're just lucky dogs that they're getting that good of a sig, right? Okay, good. So we do box and whisker plots so we can stack them on top of each other, and we can make comparisons. Good?
Yep.
Last thing is we judge what is deemed to be an outlier, okay? But they have an actual definition for outlier, and we're going to use this actual definition when we do our birth weights. Have you guys figured out your birth weight yet? You need to call your mommies if you have not figured that out yet, okay? So do that today if you have not figured that out. They have an actual definition for outliers. You can't ask questions, otherwise I'm going to go over time. They have an actual definition for an outlier, okay? So identifying outliers using the definition. Here's the way this works, all right? So I'm going to go to Verizon Airport data speeds, and we're going to talk about the min, the max, the median. I'm going to replay all these numbers for you, Q1 and Q3, okay? Somebody want to list these for me? You got them on the backside? Go to the backside and list these for me. Min was like 0.8, 77.8.
Oh.
7.9.
Yep.
Okay.
13.9.
13.9.
21.5.
And 21.5. Okay. All right. So when I did my box and whisker plot, blah, 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 here's what it looked like, right? Like something like that, right? This is my min. My Q1 was here. My Q3 was here. And my max was here. And this is my max. Or not max. This is median. Okay. All this stuff, right? Okay. Now here's the deal. We want to do something called the interquartile range, IQR. And the IQR is how long your box is. Okay, the IQR is the length of the box, which in other words is like saying take Q3 and subtract Q1, okay? So if I take my Q3 from here, I have 21.5 and I subtract 7.9. How long is the IQR or the box?
It's me.
How long is the IQR or the box? What?
13.6.
13.6. You're sure?
Yep.
Okay. 13.6 is the length of the IQR. Now, here is the rule for finding an outlier. Outlier. We take 1.5 times the IQR. Okay, so if 13.6 is my IQR, I'm going to multiply that by 1.5. Somebody take a calculator and do that for me. 13.6 times 1.5.
While they're doing that, can I have this?
20.4.
No.
20.4.
20.4. Okay, now here's the rule. Are you ready? Here is the rule. We start at this point and we add 20.4. Okay? And we start at this point and we subtract 20.4. And if we have a number that lives outside of this range or outside of this range, that is considered to be an outlier. Okay? So if I add
minimum outliers.
in this case we won't have a minimum outlier, but you can, right? So Q1 was 7.9. If I subtract 20.4, I don't know, I'm in the negatives, right? So I'm not really looking at those because we don't have a negative data speed. But if I add 20.4, what's
41.9.
41.9. So anything larger than a 41.9 is considered to be an outlier, okay? I'm going to go back to the original data list here. The original list said these guys right here. Anybody larger than a 41.9, that is this one, this one, this one, this one. We technically have 4 outliers in this data set, okay? If I look at that, I'm probably not going to say we have any outliers because all of these are kind of evenly spaced, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe. But according to the definition, if you take 1.5 times the IQR and add it back on, just like that, like we just did. Where am I at here? Right here. If I take 1.5 times the IQR, that 20.4, and I add it to Q1 and Q3 to like lengthen the box out, right? The cutoff mark is 41.9. So I technically have 4 outliers in that data set. Does that make sense? That's the actual definition of finding an outlier. Like it has to be beyond that range, all right? Good? This stuff right here explains that process. So if you get stuck and you don't remember, that's how that works, right? Okay? Good.
You went a
That is
minute
all.
over.
I'm in a minute over. That's because Cray asked a question.
Can I go work on chores?
Okay.